History is a story often told from what we find on land, from dusty scrolls and towering pyramids that stand against the sun. But sometimes, the greatest secrets are not buried under sand, but lie submerged beneath the waves, waiting for us to look deeper. In September of 2025, just off the coast of Egypt, a truly monumental discovery was made. An entire ancient port, vast and sprawling, was found hidden about 40 feet below the surface of the Mediterranean Sea. This was not just a few scattered ruins. It was a complex of huge stone buildings, grand columns, and structures that spoke of a bustling, vibrant hub of activity from a long-lost era. This incredible find was located near the temple complex of Taposiris Magna, a place already famous in the ongoing search for one of history's most enigmatic figures. This sunken world is far more than just another archaeological site. It is a profound clue in a puzzle that has captivated historians for centuries. The discovery of this massive port fundamentally changes our understanding of Taposiris Magna. We once viewed it primarily as a religious center, dedicated to the gods Osiris and Isis. But finding a major maritime harbor here suggests it was also a place of immense economic and strategic importance. It forces us to ask new questions. What was this port used for? Who sailed from its shores? And could it possibly hold the key to the final resting place of the last Pharaoh of Egypt, the legendary Queen Cleopatra VII? The very existence of this underwater city opens a new, thrilling chapter in our quest to understand her life and her legacy. The announcement, sent out by the Egyptian Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities, created waves of excitement across the globe. For decades, the story of Cleopatra's end has been shrouded in mystery, her tomb lost to the annals of time. While tradition held that she was buried somewhere within the royal quarter of ancient Alexandria, that city has been transformed over millennia, its secrets swallowed by urban development and the sea itself. This new discovery, some 30 miles to the west, offers a tantalizing alternative. It provides a solid physical location that aligns perfectly with a compelling theory about where Cleopatra may have chosen to orchestrate her final defiant act against the might of Rome. The sheer scale of the underwater structures is difficult to comprehend. We are talking about buildings that stand over 6 meters tall, their stone walls still intact after more than 2,000 years beneath the sea. Imagine the fleets of ships that once docked here, the merchants trading goods from across the known world, and the royal processions that may have arrived by water. This was not a minor outpost. It was a significant piece of the Ptolemaic kingdom's infrastructure. Its rediscovery is a testament to the power of modern technology and the persistence of human curiosity, breathing new life into a very old story and promising that the secrets of the past are never truly lost, only waiting for the right moment to be revealed. At the very heart of this extraordinary discovery is one woman whose dedication has been the driving force behind the search. Dr. Kathleen Martínez, a brilliant archaeologist from the Dominican Republic, has devoted more than 20 years of her life to a single audacious goal: to find the lost tomb of Cleopatra. Her journey began not in the field but in a library, where she pored over ancient texts and scholarly articles. She became convinced that the world had been looking in the wrong place. While everyone else focused on the submerged ruins of Alexandria, Martínez developed a radical theory that pointed her towards the quiet, windswept site of Taposiris Magna, a place others had largely overlooked. For over 2 decades, Dr. Martínez has worked tirelessly at this site, leading a team that has faced countless challenges, from the scorching Egyptian sun to the frustratingly slow pace of excavation. Her belief has never wavered. She saw Taposiris Magna not just as a temple, but as a place deeply connected to Cleopatra's identity. The queen famously associated herself with the goddess Isis, and this temple was one of the most important centers for Isis worship in all of Egypt. Martínez reasoned that if Cleopatra wanted to create a lasting legacy and protect her tomb from her Roman conquerors, she would have chosen a sacred place that was both significant to her and defensible, a place where her story could be preserved for eternity. This long and often lonely quest was born from a deep intellectual connection with the queen herself. Dr. Martínez has often spoken about her desire to understand Cleopatra, not just as a political figure or a romantic heroine, but as a scholar, a mother, and a ruler who fought desperately to save her kingdom. This empathy has fueled her research, pushing her to look beyond the Roman propaganda that has so often defined Cleopatra's image. Her work is an attempt to reclaim the Queen's narrative, to find the physical evidence that will tell Cleopatra's side of the story. It is this personal passion, combined with rigorous academic discipline, that has made her search so compelling. The journey has been long, but it has yielded incredible results even before this latest underwater discovery. Since beginning her work in 2005, Martínez and her team have uncovered thousands of artifacts that have slowly but surely built a case for Taposiris Magna's importance during Cleopatra's reign. They have found coins bearing the Queen's face, statues, and even mummies from the period, all pointing to a site that was thriving right up until the end of the Ptolemaic dynasty. Each discovery was a small victory, a piece of the puzzle that kept her and her team going, validating her theory and bringing her one step closer to her ultimate goal. To take her search to the next level, Dr. Martínez knew she needed to look beyond the land and explore the secrets hidden by the sea. For this monumental task, she joined forces with a true legend of ocean exploration, Dr. Robert Ballard, famous for his historic discovery of the wreck of the Titanic, as well as the German battleship Bismarck. Ballard brought with him a level of expertise and technology that was perfectly suited to this new challenge. His involvement transformed the project, opening up a whole new frontier for Martínez's team. The collaboration was a meeting of minds, combining historical intuition with cutting-edge scientific methodology. Their mission was to map the seafloor off the coast of Taposiris Magna, an area that had never been systematically surveyed before. Using state-of-the-art side-scan sonar and other advanced remote sensing equipment, Ballard's team began to paint a picture of what lay beneath the waves. The technology allowed them to see through the water and sediment, revealing the shapes of man-made structures without disturbing them. They worked in close partnership with the Egyptian Navy Hydrographic Department and the Department of Underwater Antiquities, creating a powerful coalition dedicated to unlocking the secrets of the seabed and ensuring the protection of this vital heritage. The results of their initial surveys were nothing short of breathtaking. The sonar data began to reveal the unmistakable outlines of large buildings, straight lines and right angles that were clearly not natural formations. It was the first sign that something significant was down there. Dr. Ballard, with his decades of experience reading these underwater landscapes, immediately recognized the patterns of a lost settlement. The team painstakingly charted the entire area, revealing an ancient shoreline that was a staggering 2.5 miles from the current coast. This confirmed that the landscape had changed dramatically over the centuries, and that a huge portion of the ancient site was now underwater. This technological partnership was the key that unlocked the door to the sunken port. While Dr. Martínez had the theory and the historical knowledge, Dr. Ballard provided the tools to prove it. The collaboration demonstrates how modern science can illuminate the ancient past in ways that were previously unimaginable. It was no longer just about digging in the sand with shovels and brushes. It was about using sophisticated sonar arrays and remotely operated vehicles to explore a world that had been lost for nearly 2,000 years. This phase of the project marked a turning point, shifting the focus from land to sea and setting the stage for the incredible discovery to come. Once the sonar maps pointed the way, the next step was to send divers down to see the lost world with their own eyes. What the dive teams found confirmed everyone's highest hopes. The submerged ruins were not just a few scattered stones. They constituted a massive, well-preserved ancient port. Among the most impressive finds were the remains of enormous stone buildings, some with walls still standing over 6 meters high. These were not simple huts or sheds. They were substantial structures, suggesting warehouses, administrative buildings, or perhaps even grand public monuments that once lined a bustling waterfront. The scale of the construction was immense and spoke of a wealthy and powerful community. The divers swam through what felt like the ghostly streets of an underwater city. They discovered towering columns that had tumbled over, now lying on the seafloor like sleeping giants. They found huge blocks of what appeared to be ancient hydraulic cement, evidence of sophisticated construction techniques used to build durable maritime structures. Perhaps most striking of all were sections of highly polished floors, still gleaming faintly in the underwater light. These were likely the floors of important buildings, their polished surfaces a sign of the wealth and status of the people who once walked upon them, now preserved in a silent, watery tomb. Among the more evocative artifacts were the anchors. The team recovered numerous stone and metal anchors, some of which were incredibly large, designed for the big merchant vessels and warships that would have frequented such a major port. These simple objects provide a direct, tangible link to the sailors and traders who lived and worked here millennia ago. Alongside the anchors, divers found piles of broken amphorae, the large ceramic jars used throughout the ancient world to transport goods like wine, olive oil, and grain. These fragments, many dating squarely to the Ptolemaic period, are the everyday trash of an ancient economy. But for archaeologists, they are pure gold, confirming the age of the site and its role in maritime trade. The layout of the port is slowly being pieced together. It appears to have been a highly organized complex, complete with storage facilities and wharves for loading and unloading cargo. The discovery of this port completely redefines Taposiris Magna. It wasn't just a remote temple on the coast, it was a critical economic gateway, connecting this part of Egypt to the wider Mediterranean world. This revelation adds immense weight to the idea that the site was important enough for a queen to choose it for her final resting place. A place of such significance would have been well defended and worthy of housing the tomb of a pharaoh far from the prying eyes of her enemies in Alexandria. This spectacular underwater discovery does not exist in isolation. In fact, its true significance comes into focus when we connect it to a major find made by Dr. Martinez's team back in 2022. During excavations directly beneath the Great Temple of Osiris at Taposiris Magna, they uncovered a magnificent tunnel, an architectural marvel stretching for an astonishing 4,300 feet. Carved deep into the bedrock, this tunnel was hailed as a geometric miracle. Its precision and scale were breathtaking, but part of it was submerged in water, hinting that it might lead towards the sea. At the time, its full purpose was a mystery, though it clearly had immense importance. Now, with the discovery of the sunken port, the pieces of the puzzle are starting to fit together beautifully. The newly found harbor appears to align directly with the trajectory of this massive tunnel. This suggests that the temple, the tunnel, and the port were all part of one integrated and carefully planned complex. It's possible that the tunnel served as a secret, protected passageway, connecting the sacred temple grounds directly to the waterfront. Such a connection would have had profound religious and ceremonial implications, allowing for processions to move between the temple and the sea, perhaps as part of the great festivals honoring Osiris, the god of the underworld. This link is the cornerstone of Dr. Martinez's theory about Cleopatra's burial. She proposes that the queen, knowing her defeat was imminent, planned her death and burial with meticulous care. She wanted to be interred alongside her lover, Mark Antony, in a sacred place associated with the myth of Isis and Osiris. The tunnel could have been the key to this plan. It would have allowed her followers to carry her and Antony's bodies from the temple to a hidden tomb, perhaps located somewhere within the vast complex, without being observed by the occupying Roman forces. The port would have been the final piece, a potential escape route or a grand ceremonial entrance for her journey into the afterlife. The discovery of jars and ceramics from Cleopatra's era within the submerged section of the tunnel already provided a strong link to her time. The alignment with the newly discovered port strengthens that connection tenfold. It paints a picture of a complex and sophisticated plan, one befitting a queen known for her intelligence and strategic thinking. Cleopatra may have been reenacting the myth of Isis, who searched for the scattered body of her beloved husband Osiris. By choosing Taposiris Magna, with its temple, its secret tunnel, and its grand port, Cleopatra was not just choosing a burial spot, she was crafting her own legend and ensuring her divine transformation. So why would Cleopatra turn her back on Alexandria, the glittering capital of her kingdom and the traditional burial place of the Ptolemaic pharaohs? Dr. Kathleen Martínez's theory offers a powerful and persuasive answer, rooted in the queen's deep religious convictions and her desperate political situation. Cleopatra didn't just rule as a pharaoh, she presented herself as the living incarnation of the goddess Isis. This was not merely a political ploy, it was central to her identity and her right to rule. By embodying Isis, she connected herself to one of Egypt's most powerful and beloved deities, the goddess of motherhood, magic, and rebirth. Taposiris Magna, whose name translates to Great Tomb of Osiris, was one of the most significant religious sites in Egypt dedicated to the cult of Isis and her husband, Osiris. According to Egyptian mythology, after Osiris was murdered and dismembered, Isis searched for his body parts to bring him back to life. It was believed that one of his body parts was buried at Taposiris Magna. For Cleopatra, who saw herself as Isis and Mark Antony as her Osiris, there could be no more sacred or meaningful place to be buried. It would be the ultimate act of religious devotion, a way to ensure their joint resurrection and eternal life in the underworld. Furthermore, there was a pressing practical reason to avoid Alexandria. After her and Antony's defeat at the Battle of Actium, the Roman leader Octavian, who would later become Emperor Augustus, was in control of the city. Cleopatra knew that Octavian would want to parade her through the streets of Rome in chains as the ultimate symbol of his victory. She also knew he would likely desecrate her tomb to erase her memory from history. By arranging for a secret burial at Taposiris Magna, some 30 miles away, she could protect her and Antony's remains from Roman hands. It was a final act of defiance, a way to control her own destiny and legacy, even in death. The discovery of the port adds another layer to this theory. A major harbor would have made Taposiris Magna a strategic location, easily accessible by sea but also defensible. It would have allowed Cleopatra to move resources and loyal followers to the site in preparation for her final days. The existence of the port proves that Taposiris Magna was not some forgotten backwater, but a place of real power and importance, worthy of a queen's tomb. Martínez argues that Cleopatra was a brilliant strategist to the very end, and her choice of burial location was her final masterful move against her enemies. How could such a massive and important port simply vanish from history, its location forgotten for 2 millennia? The answer lies not in human action, but in the terrifying and destructive power of nature. Historical records and geological evidence tell us that, in the year 365 CE, a catastrophic earthquake rocked the eastern Mediterranean. Centered near the island of Crete, this earthquake was one of the most powerful seismic events in recorded history, estimated to have had a magnitude of 8.0 or higher. Its effects were felt across the entire region, from Greece and Italy to the coast of North Africa. The earthquake triggered a devastating tsunami that slammed into the Egyptian coastline with unimaginable force. The ancient city of Alexandria suffered terribly. Historical accounts describe how the sea retreated and then returned as a colossal wave, sweeping ships over the rooftops and destroying much of the city's famed royal quarter. It is this event that is believed to have submerged the palaces and library where Cleopatra once lived. It stands to reason that the same tsunami would have also inundated the coastline further west, at Taposiris Magna, which stood directly in the path of the destructive waves. The land itself sank. The powerful earthquake caused a process known as subsidence, where large sections of the coast dropped dramatically. At Taposiris Magna, the ground level fell, allowing the Mediterranean Sea to rush in and permanently flood the low-lying areas, including the entire port complex. What was once a bustling harbor became a silent underwater world in a matter of hours. The survivors would have fled inland, and over time, the memory of the great port faded, becoming little more than a local legend, if that. Nature had effectively sealed the site, hiding it from view and preserving it under a protective layer of water and sediment. This natural disaster, while tragic for the people of the time, is a blessing for modern archaeologists. The rapid submersion of the port meant that it was not gradually dismantled for its stone or built over by later generations. Instead, it was frozen in time, much like the Roman city of Pompeii was preserved by volcanic ash. The buildings, columns, and artifacts were left exactly as they were on that fateful day in 365 CE. This is why the discovery is so important. It offers us an undisturbed snapshot of a Ptolemaic-era port, protected from the ravages of time until now, waiting for us to uncover its secrets. Long before the sonar scanners and dive teams explored the seabed, Dr. Martinez's persistent work on the land around the Taposiris Magna temple was already building an incredibly strong case. Her 20-year excavation has been one of the most fruitful in modern Egyptian archaeology, transforming our understanding of the site. Over this time, her team has methodically unearthed an astonishing number of artifacts, more than 2,600 significant objects in total. This treasure trove provides a rich context for the period and points directly to the site's importance during Cleopatra's reign and the years immediately following her death. Among the most significant discoveries on land were more than 20 catacombs, underground burial chambers cut into the rock. Inside these tombs, the team found over 600 human remains and more than 30 mummies. Some of these mummies were incredibly special. They had been adorned with gold leaf, a practice reserved for individuals of very high status. This indicates that Taposiris Magna was a prestigious burial ground for the elite during the late Ptolemaic and early Roman periods. Finding such high-status burials makes it far more plausible that the most important figures of all, the queen and her consort, would also be interred here. The smaller artifacts tell an equally compelling story. The team has uncovered over 300 coins, many of which were minted during Cleopatra's rule and bear her image and name. These coins are like historical fingerprints, proving that the site was active and economically connected during her lifetime. Finding them in such quantities demonstrates that this was not a forgotten temple, but a place where money was exchanged and commerce took place. These discoveries on land perfectly complement the new evidence of a major trading port, painting a cohesive picture of a thriving and important center. Perhaps the most poignant discoveries were two mummies of high-ranking individuals that were found to be facing the temple itself, a sign of great reverence. Funerary masks with smiling faces, statues of the goddess Isis, and amulets have all been brought to light, each one adding a new layer of detail to the story of Taposiris Magna. Every single one of these 2,600 objects has served as a breadcrumb on the long trail, reinforcing Dr. Martinez's belief and providing the crucial evidence needed to justify expanding the search into the more challenging and expensive underwater realm. The sunken port is the climax of the story, but it is a story built on 2 decades of hard work in the sand. The discovery of the submerged port at Taposiris Magna is more than just another headline. It represents a genuine paradigm shift in the search for Cleopatra's tomb. For centuries, the mystery of her final resting place has been one of history's most compelling cold cases. Now, for the first time, we have a coherent and evidence-based theory, supported by major discoveries both on land and under the sea. The alignment of the temple, the secret tunnel, and the grand port creates a narrative that is not only plausible but deeply resonant with everything we know about Cleopatra's intelligence, her religious devotion, and her defiant spirit. This finding, brought to the world's attention through a major documentary, has captured the public imagination for good reason. It feels like we are on the cusp of solving a 2,000-year-old mystery. The ongoing excavations, which will continue for months to come, promise even more revelations. The team has already identified a specific underwater structure, which they have dubbed Salem 5, as a key target for further exploration. Could this be a part of the tomb complex itself, or perhaps a ceremonial platform connected to the Queen's final rites? Every dive brings the potential for a history-making discovery. The implications of finding Cleopatra's tomb would be immense. It would be, without exaggeration, the most significant archaeological discovery since Tutankhamun's tomb was opened in 1922. It would give us incredible insight into the life and death of this iconic queen, potentially revealing her true appearance and telling her story from her own perspective, not that of her Roman enemies. Finding her interred with Mark Antony would also provide a final, romantic postscript to one of history's greatest love stories. It would be a chance to connect with a woman who has fascinated the world for millennia, to see her not as a caricature, but as a real person. Dr. Kathleen Martínez's two-decade quest, now amplified by the technological power of Dr. Robert Ballard's team, has brought us to this thrilling moment. The journey has been a masterclass in persistence, combining deep historical scholarship with the latest scientific tools. The sunken port of Taposiris Magna has been revealed, its stone buildings and silent wharves a testament to a world long lost. Whether this path ultimately leads to the tomb itself remains to be seen, but one thing is certain: we are closer now than ever before to uncovering Cleopatra's final secret, and in doing so, rewriting a crucial chapter of ancient history.